Yeah.
We have Mark Wells from Riccarton Community Church. Kia ora and welcome.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Madam Mayor, councillors, thank you for hearing our submissions. It's always encouraging to be able to be part of the decision making in our city. I'm speaking to just one very small area of the long-term plan, looking at rates remissions for community non-profits and the suggestions that those rates remissions should stop at a certain kind of bank account that a community group might hold. My understanding of that remission is not a subsidy to help smaller non-profits to go ahead, but simply an acknowledgement by the city that they do good in the city. That is their purpose, that's the why they exist. And I find it very odd then that if you reach a certain size, where economies of scale kick in, where you're more able to offer services, where you're more able to make a difference, the city would stop saying thank you for that. That seems counter logic to me. Now we, I better introduce myself because that does make a difference. So my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors at Riccarton Community Church. I'm also on the board for Community Development Network Trust, which is a major youth trust in the western part of the city. I also sit on a board of trustees for my local school, and I'm just gradually putting my toe in the water of volunteering for Hornby Hockey. But I'm not sure how much I can do. So I have a reasonable understanding of what the non-profit sector looks like. And for non-profits, we are masters at making things work. Our budgets are often very small, and for those who rely on grants, you often have a whole bunch of grant money for the activity that you're doing, for the good that you want to do, but no one actually wants to give to admin. Administration is the hardest piece of money to get a hold of and the hardest piece of money to use well. And this rates, if we stop getting the rates remission, then that's where that goes, is into the hardest part to fund. And so while you might look at a non-profit's bank account and say, hey, look, you've got this amount of money, a lot of that is tagged to particular purposes. So it's actually really, really difficult to then be able to claw back that somewhere else. And what it ends up being is that you end up pulling back on services, or you end up needing to have more volunteers doing what you could have someone paid do. It just gets really challenging sometimes to pull out those particular pieces, and particularly admin is really, really challenging, as opposed to activity fees. Everyone loves giving to activity fees, to the direct services that we do, but often it's the admin that kind of makes things fall over. So what I'm encouraging you to do is allow us to have the economies of scale, allow us to grow and to have the kind of financial stability and responsibility that you want us to have, without then penalising us by stopping that kind of that acknowledgement of the good that we do via that rates remission. That's basically the argument. It's very simple, but I'd be keen if you have any thoughts.
Thank you. I think people are generally... There've been quite a number of submissions along the same line, and actually the community boards as well, without exception, I think, as I recall. Yeah, well, and that's just the acknowledgement that because the community non-profits, we work hand in hand with the council. We deliver on a lot of the same goals that the council has, and very little of that actually is council funded. We really appreciate the grants that we do get, but particularly for a church, there's actually a very, very tiny portion of what we do that fits within the council criteria for funding, because a lot of it is kind of brushed over with promotion of religion. Oh, we can't fund that. So we do get a small amount, but most of it comes from our donors, our people who give. And again, it's much, much easier to ask people for money for concrete things and for services than it is for administration. And again, so we're picking out that one point of what's your bank account, then you don't get a rates remission, misses the nuance of that. And so, and particularly for other non-profits who are much more grant funded, or they have contracts with government. Again, the contracts, they force you into a particular thing. You must deliver in this area, and often the admin is the bit that misses out. Yeah, so I think we've heard that from a number of groups too, which is why I think the flexibility in the funding arrangements has been here at the council for that reason. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for your submission. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
The next one is